This is the U-2. It's the direct result of American intelligence coming to terms with how little it really knew about post-Stalin Russia. We can't make sense of what happened next in ufology without getting to grips with this once highly secret machine. It triggered a wave of UFO sightings all across America.
What was needed were certain cover stories. What do you do when people are spotting aircraft and then telling reporters that they've seen something very unusual flying out of an airbase in Nevada? And frankly, this was the origin of a lot of the sightings that took place in the mid-50s, 1954, 55, 56, of unidentified flying objects, the UFOs. So the CIA was involved in encouraging people to believe that, yes, they saw UFOs, and the CIA and the military tried to be very helpful to reporters to get these stories out, to divert the attention of the country, and particularly the people in this region, about what they had actually seen.
We believe that UFOs are real, that they are from outer space, and that they are intelligently controlled.
And then it went into a small cloud. Again, we spotted it as it came out of the cloud, and very shortly after that, it quickly disappeared.
Traveled apparently on this side of the tower and went...
The CIA's strategy of encouraging public belief in UFOs seemed to be working, and the U-2's development and deployment was hidden behind a smokescreen of disinformation.
With a flying object of some sort that could hover, and such as I've never seen before.
Right here is where this flying saucer, this UFO, landed. Right here, about where I'm standing. And it was a big, huge thing, and I wondered what the heck it was. And within 2 or 3 seconds, it was out of sight.
That was in the southwest, and easy, you might think, to dismiss out of hand. But this isn't. Life magazine, a highly respected part of the American scene in the 1950s. Popular, but hard-headed journalism.
A very famous issue of the Life magazine that has Marilyn Monroe on the front. And if you can get your eyes off Marilyn Monroe and look in the upper right-hand corner, you see this, "Have we visitors from outer space?" or whatever the title was. The writers said, well, we have been to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, where Project Blue Book was headquartered. We've looked through their sighting files. We've talked to the people who are in Project Blue Book and some Air Force generals and so on. And it appears that the Air Force is now treating this subject seriously. And their conclusion in the article was that, that we're right on the hairy edge of saying, yeah, there really are interplanetary visitors being involved here. That's what people are seeing. And the Air Force doesn't seem to be denying that.
What the CIA has always done in these cases is to place false reports in the press. But you did have ways of supplying information to people you knew were Soviet assets or East European assets to send the Soviets looking in another direction.
The real targets of the flying saucer fever were, of course, the Russians. What did they make of the UFOs, I wonder?
Уважаемые пассажиры, для пробоя до станции аэропорт отправиться в 18 часов 4.
I've come to Moscow to talk to Igor Sinitsyn, a former KGB operative who was the personal aide to the Bureau's number one, Yuri Andropov.
На этой, так сказать, позиции.
While in this position, I once had the chance to acquaint myself with a document regarding UFOs, which had been prepared by one of the military intelligence officers. So, when I read this series of articles on UFOs, I decided to give it to Andropov to read. Of course, I was somewhat nervous when I went to him with this article, because I thought that my boss would think that I was out of my mind. He read through the translation and began to study it very closely. Then, quite unexpectedly, Yuri Andropov opened his desk and took out a very thin file from the top drawer, gave it to me to read and said, "Only read it here and don't take it away."
Much to Sinitsyn's surprise, the file contained highly classified UFO sightings occurring all over the Soviet Union. What people saw behind the Iron Curtain was what the CIA wanted them to see. Not classified American technology, but something from outer space. But back in America, the UFO story was about to enter a new phase. A reliable witness reported a clear sighting of a UFO and its alien occupants. The first convincing close encounter of the third kind. On the 24th of April 1964, America experienced its first credible close encounter of the third kind. Officer Lonnie Zamora was driving along a quiet stretch of road skirting the edge of the White Sands missile range in New Mexico.
What the hell was that?
Suddenly, he caught a glimpse of something strange in the sky.
Whoa.
He left the road and set off for the desert, following the craft. He caught sight of a shiny object, now landed, about 200 yards away. As he looked over, he saw two figures in white coveralls, close to what looked like a flying saucer. Suddenly, without warning, the craft took off and headed straight for him. And as quickly as it had arrived, it disappeared off into the distance at high speed. This statement by Lonnie Zamora is one of the most intriguing UFO reports on record. It made headline news at the time. Everyone acknowledged that Zamora was a first-class witness, a police officer, a man not prone to exaggeration. The Zamora case remains one of a handful of unexplained sightings in Project Blue Book. When investigators arrived at the scene, they found an impression in the soil, surrounded by burnt brushwood. Zamora was so distraught that he insisted on seeing a priest before handing in his report. The US Air Force was under pressure to explain what had actually landed. But there is one man who claims he knows what Lonnie Zamora saw.